friends, in previous class we discussed about components of colorimeter, right? What are the components? There will be a light source which gives the light, and after that there is a slit which allows only a beam of light to pass, then condensing lens which gives a parallel beam of light, right? Which gives a parallel beam of light. Then we will put a filter there. The filter are used for selecting light of narrow wavelength. Okay, should be wavelength should be specific. Okay, so filters are for selecting a narrow wavelength. Then there will be a cuvette, right? After that there will be a detector and there will be an output measure. Okay, so that were the basics about it, but we should know something more about these components. We will deal with now. Light source. Okay, light source. There are two types of light source which will be used. There are incandescent lamps and lasers mainly. Okay, the light source should be highly stable with even minute voltage changes. Should be highly stable with minute voltage changes. So first we will deal with incandescent lamps. What are the incandescent lamps? These are nothing but lamps in tungsten, which use tungsten light, right? Example is halogen lamp. Here is the halogen lamp. You know it very well. This halogen lamp is nothing but there is a tungsten filament and inert gas around it, and there will be a halogen. Okay, either bromine. Okay, the incandescent lamps are high intensity. It has long lifetime and it will generate considerable heat. Okay, this incandescent lamps will provide high intense light. It has a long lifetime, but it will generate considerable heat. If we use visible spectrum, in colorimeter we use visible spectrum, right? So we will use tungsten light or halogen lamp. If we use UV region, that is in spectrophotometer, we use UV region, right? So if we use UV region, we will use low pressure mercury vapor lamp or hydrogen lamp or deuterium lamp, right? Hydrogen, low pressure mercury lamp, hydrogen lamp or deuterium lamp. Okay. What is the characteristics of these lamps? Low pressure mercury vapor lamp, which will give line spectrum or discontinuous spectrum. What is this line spectrum? In between the spectrum there will be gaps. Okay, there will be gaps, so it is known as line spectrum. Low pressure mercury vapor lamp give line spectrum. In hydrogen lamp it will provide continuous spectra. Okay, we will get continuous spectra in hydrogen lamp. Deuterium lamp. What are the characteristics of deuterium lamp? In our lab, there is a spectrophotometer in which deuterium lamp is there. What is the characteristic? It is more stable and longer life. So, since it is more stable and it has longer life, we use deuterium lamp nowadays. I will show you the pictures. This is the mercury vapor lamp which will provide time spectra. This is the hydrogen lamp which will provide continuous spectra. This is the deuterium lamp which is highly stable and longer half-life. This is the deuterium lamp which we use nowadays. Okay, incandescent lamp is over. Now we have to learn about laser. What is laser? Light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. It's a full form of laser. Light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. It transforms light of various frequencies into extremely intense, focused and nearly non-divergent beam of monochromatic light. Okay, this lasers transform light of various frequencies into extremely intense, focused and nearly non-divergent beam of monochromatic light. So the things of lamp is over. After a lamp there will be a slit, right? There will be a slit which allows only a beam of light, and there will be a condensing lens. I already told you slits are inserted before or after monochromatic device, okay, which will allows only a beam of light to pass. There will be lenses to render the light rays as parallel. After that we discussed with monochromators. What are the monochromators? Monochromators are systems for isolating radiant energy of a desired wavelength and excluding that of other wavelengths is called a monochromator. Okay. The monochromators are systems for isolating radiant energy of a desired wavelength and excluding that of other wavelengths is called as monochromator. As monochromators, what are we using? This as filters, prisms, diffraction rate. These three things we use as monochromators. First is filters, then prisms, diffraction rate. Nowadays diffraction ratings are used, which is more good or better than filter. The diffraction ratings are better than filters and prisms. Okay. First we will deal with the filters. Filters are the simplest form of monochromatous. Okay, it is nothing but a thin layer of glass. It is nothing but a thin layer of glass which is colored. The filters are colored glass. Okay, actually it is not a true monochromatous because its spectral purity is less. Spectral purity of a filter described in terms of spectral bandwidth. Okay, the spectral purity of a filter described in terms of spectral bandwidth. What is the spectral bandwidth? The spectral bandwidth defined as width in nanometer of the spectral transmittance curve at point equal to one half of the peak transmittance. This is the spectrum. One half of the spectrum is here, right? This is the peak. This is the one half of the peak. The bandwidth in the one half of the peak is known as, this is the bandwidth. Okay, this is the bandwidth. This is known as spectral bandwidth. Okay, you can see in the picture one half of the peak. This is the spectral bandwidth. Filters are two types: absorption filters and interference filters. Absorption filters are simplest type and its peak transmission is 5 to 50% and bandwidth is 50 nanometer. Okay, examples are glass filters and Ratten filters. And interference filters are narrow spectral bandwidth. Okay, it is about 5 to 15 nanometer. The absorption filters bandwidth is 15 nanometer and interference filters are narrow spectral bandwidth which is 5 to 15 nanometer. Okay. Then we learned about glass filters and Ratten filters. We'll discuss within. What is this glass filters? This thin layer of colored glass and wide bandwidth, and Ratten filters are colored gelatin held between two clear glass plates. This is the Ratten filters. That is colored gelatin held between two clear glass plates. Okay, this narrower bandwidth. Okay. Then what about glass filters? They are wide band pass filters, narrow band pass filters, and short cut off filters. Three types of glass filters are there: wide band pass filters, narrow band pass filters, and sharp cut off filters. You know only the names, not more about it. Narrow band pass filters can be constructed using a combination of two or more cut off filters. Okay. This is the picture of interference filters. This is the interference filters. This is the picture showing spectral bandwidth, right? This is the spectrum of interference filters. This is the spectrum of interference filters, which is narrow bandwidth. This is the spectrum of absorption filters, wide bandwidth. Okay, interference filters bandwidth is narrow, absorption filters bandwidth is wide, right? You can see the picture again and again. Okay, then the other thing we use as monochromator is prisms, right? Prism separates white light into continuous spectrum. Okay, examples for prisms are glass prisms are there, quartz prisms are there, and silica prisms are there. Separation depends on refractive index and length of the prism base. Okay, what are the disadvantages of prisms? It absorb light. Okay, sometimes it may absorb light. It is costly. Varying dispersion is there and inferior resolution than diffraction gratings. So diffraction gratings are more or better than these prisms because inferior resolution. The diffraction gratings has more resolution. The diffraction grating is prepared by depositing a thin layer of aluminum copper alloy on the surface of a flat glass plate. On the surface of a flat glass plate, we will deposit some thin layer of aluminum copper alloy. Okay. Then many parallel grooves are made in the metal coating. This is the diffraction grating. You can see the many parallel grooves in this picture. Many parallel grooves. We will coat it with aluminum or aluminum copper alloy. Okay. This is the spectrum produced by diffraction gratings. Okay. Diffraction gratings are extremely accurate, low light scatter, widely used in analytical instruments. Nowadays, in analytical instruments, we use diffraction gratings. Diffraction gratings are nothing but a thin layer of aluminum copper alloy on the surface of a glass plate. A glass plate is taken, grooves are made, aluminum copper alloy is coated. Okay. Then we will get this type spectrum. Spectral bandwidth is 20 nanometer or more. Higher priced instrument 0.5 nanometer or less. Some higher priced instrument of diffraction gratings are available which has a very narrow bandwidth which is 0.5 nanometer. The usual diffraction gratings has 20 nanometer or more spectral bandwidth. Okay. If it is highly priced or high cost, it is 0.5 nanometer or less spectral bandwidth diffraction gratings are available. Okay. Then we will deal with the sample holders. They are cuvettes, right? Cuvettes. They are small vessels used to hold liquid sample. Okay. They are composed of in colorimeter we use visible spectrum, so we will use of cuvettes of glass. For UV region we will use silica or plastic, right? Silica or plastic. For UV region we use silica or plastic. For visible spectrum we use glass. This is the picture of glass cuvette. This is the picture of quartz cuvette. This is the picture of quartz cuvette. Cuvettes may be round, square or rectangular. There are cuvettes which are round or square or rectangular. What are the characteristics of rectangular cuvettes? It provides constant path length. The rectangular cuvettes provide constant path length, but round cuvettes may not provide this constant path length, right? Then rectangular cuvettes plain parallel optical surface, right? And it is expensive, much expensive than round cuvettes. Round cuvettes simple to construct, cheap, cell with solution act like lens and focus light. This is an advantage, right? It will act as a lens and focus light. Then alteration punctines may be there. Cuvette should be clean, optically clear of previously measured substance. Cuvette should be clean, optically clear of previously measured substance. Cuvettes used in the visible range, we should rinse it with copious tap water. We should with copious tap water and distilled water. Alkaline solution should not be left in cuvettes. Alkaline solution should not be kept in should not be left in cuvettes for prolonged periods. Okay. And soaking in concentrated HCl or water ethanol in the ratio 1:3:4. We should soak it with concentrated HCl, water, ethanol in the ratio 1:3:4. Cuvettes used in UV region are you should use with special care. Okay. Cuvettes used in the UV region we should use with a special care. Invisible scratches, fingerprints and residual traces should not be there. Invisible scratches, fingerprints and residual traces should not be there. So we should not use with our bare hand. Should use with a tissue paper. You should use a tissue paper to hold the cuvettes used in the UV region. Okay. A good practice to fill all such cuvettes with the distilled water and measure the absorbance for each against a reference blank over the valence to be used. This value should be essentially 0. Okay. Then after the cuvettes, we will place a photodetector, right? The devices that convert light into an electrical signal that is proportional to number of photons striking its photosensitive surface is known as photodetectors. Okay, devices that convert light into an electric signal are known as photodetectors. As photodetectors, we use barrier cell layer cells, photoconductive cell, photoemissive cell, photomultiplier tubes, etc. Okay. barrier layer cells, photoconductive cells, photoemissive cells, and photomultiplier tubes. You should only know these names, not more than that. For today, it is enough. We learned something more about components of colorimetry. Hope it is useful for you.